So again, Fischer's attack wasn't irrefutable, but finding that defense was not something that Larsen was able to do. So it just goes to show you that there is no winning without a little bit of cooperation. But Larsen plays G takes H5. Fischer goes right to G6, and then Larsen goes to E5. As an alternative, uh, he shows E6, and then G takes F7, King takes F7, takes King takes Rook, Queen, and all over but the shouting. Uh, what a fabulous position this is. So Fischer has almost all of these different lines calculated, and it's just amazing when you just go through them how Fischer is just his sheer tactical ability in this position. You know, to be able to see after the alternative E6 to know to play G takes G7 and then exchanges the bishops, immediately comes in with the rook, comes with the queen on the file, queen e5, of course, to defend this square, but and then to counterattack and to just come in with all the pieces. It's just earth shattering. It really, really is that kind of tactical genius that Fischer is alluding to. So interestingly enough, he just shows just a quick sideline. Let's say, because I was wondering, well, what if rook takes, right? Well, that's no better because after bishop takes e6, you're just going to win material and continue to batter through the defense. Also, just to show you this position, this is where Fischer's annotation actually ends, but just to show you the different lines, clearly rook can't take f7 because that's just mate in 2. But if he goes to d8, let's just say the king goes to d8, which is slightly better, then after rook takes g7, mate is still coming, and the king is just too vulnerable. So Fischer, with all of these different lines, is showing the incredible depth that he knows how to handle this kingside attack. Larsen plays e5, which is better, takes the pawn with check. He goes to king f8. Fischer plays bishop to e3. Now that he doesn't want to give up his bishop, so now he's repositioning the bishop so that it can go to a more pliable square to get into the attack. And in addition, now you also see that the d6 pawn is now a target. So there's all sorts of stuff going on here from this position. But after bishop d3, Larsen makes a move that Fischer gives an exclamation point. He says d5, and Fischer writes, a desperate bid for freedom. Larsen sees the importance of obstructing this diagonal in order to try to break free in this position. He also shows how the trying to counterattack at this point will not work. We'll look at a4, queen takes d6, rook e7, beautiful sacrifice, and then mate. Just gorgeous stuff. I think this is an excellent chess puzzle to look at a4 and to see all of the beautiful, just the beautiful stuff to come. So d5 really is a very strong move in this position. And Fischer plays e takes d5. And of course you play e takes d5 because you need to maintain the bishop's defense of c2. Fischer shows if bishop takes d5, rook takes c2, and now all of a sudden this game is even because black has a vicious counterattack. So instead, after bishop b3, d5, and Fischer does not slow down. He keeps going with e takes d5. And then after rook takes f7, which is move, just to show again the alternative, a4, d6, a takes b3, d takes c7, and then white should win. amazing stuff. And so rook takes f7, and now d6, which once again, this diagonal now in play. Plays rook takes f6. If he points out that if Larsen plays rook d7, that white has a number of pleasant choices. He can play bishop e6 and win the exchange, or win back the exchange, or can go for something even more substantial with a direct attack with bishop to h6. So there's all sorts of different things going on. So rook f6, bishop g5, and then if queen d7, which is the alternative, queen d5, and then white will mate. After queen f7, bishop takes f6, and white wins material. But if instead, if rook f7, then bishop e7 and white will mate. Isn't that beautiful? That's such a beautiful cutting off of the squares. That's just absolutely gorgeous. Because as you can see, this of course is a catastrophic loss of material with check. But if it goes the other way, then what just has black done? He's just given white access to the g8 square. Just amazing, amazing tactics in this position. So instead, going back after bishop g5, Larsen plays queen b7, and then bishop takes f6, bishop takes f6, d7, rook d8. And at this point, Fischer says he makes a mistake with queen d6 check. Now that leads to mate in 7, but Fischer says that's a mistake because there is another move that actually forces a mate in 3. So I'm going to invite you to pause the video and see if you can find the mate in 3 in this position. Okay, well, here is the mate in 3. It's actually queen h6. That's the alternative line, and you can see that no matter what's going on, it's going to be bad. So let's just look at one of the alternatives. One of the alternatives is just going to be interposing here. And so can you find the thing? Then here it's just queen d6 mate, because you have to remember you have this beautiful diagonal for the bishop that cuts it off. So what other choices does black have? Well, he can try king e7, and then after queen e7, queen h7, and there is nowhere to go. There is absolutely nowhere to go except either interposing like this for mate, or the king can simply come back up, and if so, he mates on queen f7. What an incredible tactical game. And I'm sorry if I went through all of those variations quickly. It's just such dense material. It's hard to give a thorough analysis of all of these lines well. But it's just an amazing example of how Fischer uses all of this material, directs it at the king's side, and breaks through to finally get to black's king. And so this has been Larsen versus Fischer in 1958. And I wish you good luck with your chess, and goodbye for now.